How's it going, everybody? Um, get my thing up here. Hi, Graham. Oh boy. We'll get started. Get my agenda up here. Hi, Brian. Is everything working for now? I keep looking at the sound and video are working out good. I hope it stays that way. Hi, Graham, Steve, John, Donald. Good to see everybody. Hey, Nigel. I I gotta remember Homer is Nigel. Good to see you guys. Well, let me get started and go from here and see what we have to see. The first thing is, as promised, I contacted Combla Mine, and they let's see, I make this a little bigger here. There, okay. Taking a look at the agenda. Hi, Martin. The Raymond, hello. I contacted Combla Mine and I asked him for a schedule. I said, and I gave him a link to the video I had done talking about all of the trials and tribulations we had gone through and all of the problems we encountered and the extra costs that this is really given us and everything. I didn't want to make it sound like a sob story, but I wanted to get them to focus on, look, this is what we've got. Here's the whole story so you can see it in context. And so all we want is just give us a schedule, give us something. And then if they come out with crap again or whatever they end up with, then we go rewind it. Now, since I haven't had a response from either one of them, Armand Rosalie or Fabian Hujanin, I'll contact them again tomorrow. I'll be the rusty hinge, and just come on. The problem is that we're right on the edge of when Switzerland, at least a part of it, shuts down. But it's just sort of like going to be there because I don't know what else we can do. Anyway, so any advice on that, I'd be more than happy to listen to. Hi, Allie. Hi, Paul. But it's just sort of keeping at it. Anything? I know that all of you who haven't got your watch must be as frustrated as I am. I'm sending out the watches that the three that we got to Jeffrey and to Brian, and we got another one too. The amounts that they're charging are sort of nuts. Dwayne had one from Etude number 1, and he couldn't get it working. I guess he'd been letting it sit around for a long time, and that's a problem. If all of these watches need to be wound up frequently, okay, and I think Dwayne just sort of left his in the case and didn't think much about it, and he couldn't get it started again. And I think that probably they just, I did everything I have. Not only on that watch, just several watches that I have that are good watches. Not that the cheap ones seem to they're ready to go all the time, But some of the better ones, you have to pop them on on your palm of your hand, give them a knock to get the release from the escapement to the pellet fork, and just unlock it, and then it's happy as a clam. Hi, Donald, Charles, how are you? Okay, so that's just one of the added fun costs that we have, and I hope this is just the United States. The other ones, glad they're going out. Hey, Steve. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll just be the sort of a woodpecker on their brain. Hi, hater. Okay. Next item is from Maid. They will be open again 1 week from tomorrow. So that's hopeful. I can give them that date. That's saying, they'll get the email first thing tomorrow morning, and it'll say, okay, now in a week, can you deliver, give us a schedule that, we could crank it up within a week, and trying to give them something so that they feel that they should respond. And not begging, but not getting snotty about it either. That's sort of a, I can get snotty here, but not with him. Okay. Okay. Don't text and drive. Hater, be careful. Okay. Any comments or questions on up to on those points? As an aside, let me say that while the Guy Lochet is under par, everything else about the watch is wonderful. So that's the good part. And timekeeping is just perfect. That's another thing too. Just in the future, we've had an agreement with Egenhor that, if one of our watches, something happens, it's not working, that they'll fix it for no charge, and then Lyrique will pay for the coming back. We've got to change that, because what happens is that I think we've got to sort of get Sebastian to get his nose a little further into not only the construction of the watch and make sure everything is together right, but also the movement, to really test the movement beyond what Agenor does. And one way I think we can do that, say, look, we're paying all these stupid shipping fees on these things, and it's not cheap. And then you have these, God knows what they're doing with the banana, just crazy kind of relationship between the tariffs, and it doesn't seem to be, there's no connection. And I'm still trying to call them and get something set up so that we can get a clear answer on that. Okay. So that's one of the things I think we ought to do, is really do the tighten up on the coming out of the movements, as well as the construction, to make sure that we just don't want to send anything back. And I've had both of them, both on Etude number 1 and Etude number 2. I've had to send it back after, just got it, and so that's means that there's something there that needs to be doing the tighten up on. And I both not only Sebastian, but Agenor, and I will tell them that that's what we want to do from now on. Hi, Ali. How much COSC certification costs to make sure movement works perfectly? Well, it's $150 that I pay when I sent mine to the Horological Society of New York. Uh, they do have a certification program that is actually one step above COSC in terms of the criteria. But in terms of what Agenor guarantees on the movement is well within the COSC. So going through the COSC, and that sort of is another tripping point, I'll put it that way. So there are lots of different ways you can get it done on your own. One that I would love to do is to send it to, what is it? The one in France. Forgot the name of it anyway. There's one in France, just north of Geneva. Actually, yeah, just north of Geneva. And they have an observatory there. And then once they certify it as chronometer, they stamp it with a serpent's head. That'd be cool. Okay, but Ali, if you want to get COSC, it's just another tangle up that I'd rather avoid. But if you want to do it on your own, you can do what I do. Just send it into the different places that you can have that done. Okay. All right. This next thing is Heure, Zoulou, and Heure Soutant, public relations, the PR thing. Matthew set up a meeting with Marine Lemonet. Probably said it wrong. But anyway, she's the head of the 289 Consulting. And judging from how well he did, Bassam Combe, that's the one. Thanks, Brian. We were supposed to have a meeting, I think it was either last week or this coming week, but Abdul is going to be in Malta or someplace. He has to go to some kind of conference, and he wasn't able to do it. And I thought it would be a real good idea if we're dealing with some kind of possible contract for two things. One, to make sure that everybody in the group is okay with it. And so I think after Abdul and I talked to the 289, talked to Marine, to come back and to you guys, and maybe we'll have a poll or something like that, and see what it would cost. Now, my assumption was from when I saw that the contract that they sent us, or the, I guess, offer, I saw 5,000 Swiss francs or something around that. I thought, well, that give them $5,000 and we'll have PR for a year. Apparently, that was for a month. Somebody who speaks French told me that, and so then we got to sort of look at that, and if we want to do it, and I think really, if we have 1 month and they shoot out a bunch of stuff, and we have both, by then we should have a solid. We should have the actual watch for Heure Zoulou, and then we'll have a more full design of Heure Soutant. We could put them out together in one shot. On the other hand, I would imagine that the Heure Soutant guys and Abdul and me too would think it's better if we had two of them, one for Heure Zoulou at a time that we could optimize for the GPHG, because that's really the only reason that I can see doing it. Just entering the GPHG is one of the cheapest and most effective advertisement we can do. And so there's that in and of itself. Now, in order to push it to the next level, just so we get the nominations, that is something that I think would take a push. Oddly enough, one of the agreements that is set up was with, trying to think if I think Abdul was with me on that. We had a meeting with, Underdog, and the thing about Underdog, boy, Underdog has lots of connections, and so we made a deal with them that basically we'll vote their watches up high if they'll do the same with ours, and they said, yeah, they're all for it, and so I've done that on, in terms of the, little promotion here and there on the videos, and, we have a friend, put it that way. So, I don't know. We'll have to see. I think we really have to have that meeting with Marine to come back to everybody and say, "Hey, this is what we're doing." Let me get your thoughts now. I mean, what are your thoughts on public relations as a tool to maybe put us over to at least to nominations? Any thoughts on that? Oh, by the way, too, I got a whole list of places that we could contact directly on that. So that's something else we can do. Yeah, it's just I guess, Steve. Yeah, Donald, that's what I'm thinking too. Same here, Steve. I think it'd be a great idea, and what they would do is send them out to all of these, when you open up uh, your email page, all of these links and different ones that you have to through FaceTime and everything else that you have, our Facebook, that you see these things that are advertising here and there, and I think that's something that they're very good at doing. But like I said, we could try it on our own too. Yeah, I think, Brian, this is my thought, but I think that'll be for 1 month, and, we could time it so we would be talking probably next March would be my guess, for Air Zulu, and then if we're gonna put both watches in at the same year, that would be one possibility. I don't know if that's a good idea though or not. We might end up sort of limiting options on both watches. Well, Raymond, we don't have an account. We all we gotta do is take off our shoes, so we got 20 digits to deal with. Yeah, no, we have to look at it in our budget, Raymond. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, Nigel, I think the only way we're gonna know how it flies, oddly enough, is when this would be probably sometime about a year from now if we made the nominations. If we made it, then we'll have that. But in the meantime, like I said, I got this list of all of these outlets, and I would say, we can start sending them in on our own. We can write our own. I mean, writing a press release or something like that isn't rocket science. And it's, guys like Owen he's a wonderful writer. And doing some different things. Ali had done some great stuff on it, knows how to do graphics. I've been putting them cut and paste together on all of these old flight announcements for Air Zulu. Could do something similar for Air Sultan too. So I think if we can do some of the things on our own, see what happens. Let me sort of rewind to another place, and Raymond, this involves you. Uh, you you had volunteered to set up a waiting list, And I think that you and Hader are gonna have to sort of work something out because, I get these inquiries and I don't know what to tell people. Like, you know, uh, and I think that if we had somebody, because I'm still just this whole Etude number 2 thing is just one of those constant things and other things that I have to get done. I think it'd be better, because like Raymond has volunteered a long time ago to do this, to take care of the waiting list. And, uh, but getting it set up and doing it is just something we have to do. And it's not that difficult. Uh, we could have all of the inquiries directed to Raymond, and then he could start putting things on a list, and I could give anybody on a waiting list that I have, and some of the transfer coordinators could do the same if they have some people on their waiting list. So I think that would really help. The other thing too is that uh, we've got people that something happens and suddenly their slot that they have reserved and they paid for, that just like they something happened to them and they need to get they can't afford to go on, and so they need to sell their slot. And so with enough, and we're getting a lot of interest too. And if we start having a public relations program, um, either doing it ourselves or in combination with a company like 289, we're going to get more of that. And so right now, I think we can talk about the pricing in terms of the subscription pricing versus the retail pricing. I already tied that into Abraham Brigade, so it's not like, oh, gee, that's a surprise. No one's ever heard of that before. They have for a good reason. Whatever you guys want to do, Nigel. Yeah. I'm. It's just like I don't mind doing a lot of this stuff, but I'm not able to do a very good job of it if I have all of these other things I've got to take care of at the same time. It really helped that Rob took over on the financial end of it. Oh my God. That's because I'm not not dehydrated in the hospital or something. By the way, Caesar, there's a guy, forgot his name. There's some guy in Dubai. Um, there's somebody in Dubai who Omar, I think his name is Omar, he keeps maybe it's you, maybe it's just me, or maybe it might even be Nigel. I don't know, but this guy, he's wants to really do something. And I don't know what to tell him because I mean, like, having a link to Dubai, I think, is a great idea. And my suggestion would be that, to bounce it off somebody who knows something about Dubai, like Caesar. So I don't know. Have any of the rest of you guys? Oh, you know the guy Charles? Yeah, he's a good guy. It's just like I'm not quite sure what to tell him. He says, "Oh, we got this, and you can demonstrate there." I don't know if I'll send Nigel. Nigel, I'd like to go to Dubai. And here I am for Lyrique. Okay, you guys can, work that out because I think it'd be worth doing. This is sort of like since we're going what we've been going through. I don't think there's so r- a real world experience with watchmaking. I don't think I could get any realer than what we've been through. Because I know that, the concerns that, Agenor has are typical, movement maker. Some guy gets an offer from someone else and they get a promotion and all these other things, and then you gotta replace him, and, so far, they've done a great job of that, but this is going on everywhere, and then what happened at, Combla Mines, suddenly the guy who knows what he's doing is gone, and they bring in some other guys who are, having to go through the juggling act. So all of this stuff is going on, and we're not the only ones. By the way, too, um, Matu said that, with this whole thing with Combla Mine, this is we're not the only one that's gotta have to deal with problems that they've caused because of that. These people, these companies that depend on their livelihood by getting their watches out. My God, they must be beside themselves. The fact that each one of us has about 10,000 is about almost 11,000 bucks in the watch, and with no watch, or in my case, one that I don't know. Caesar, I don't know. Charles seems to know who he is, Omar Kabani. Like I said, he's a nice guy. He's very enthusiastic, but I don't know what how this could really help Lyrique. No, maybe there'd be a whole lot of people in Dubai who would be, say, hey, I'd like to get in on this and part of the subscription thing. And I think that would be a good thing. So we'll see. Okay. All right. Well, I'll see it up if I can get. We've got to wait until Abdul gets back from the conferences he's at, and then we can. Then we'll plan again with Matu for a meeting with Marine. So it'll be a FaceTime meeting or something. Okie doke. Okay. Charles, do you see what advantage there might be to Lyrique, or is Omar, his job mainly trying to recruit people to get a spot as part of that, or what's going on? I don't know. Maybe you do. Anyhow, if there's something that would work out for us, I think that's a good idea. Okie doke. Now we get into something a lot more convoluted, we'll say, and this would be the Lyrique Society Cooperative. The more I look at it, the better it looks, especially compared to SARL or LLC in Switzerland, because I think through the Lyrique Society Cooperative, we could then open up a bank account through that, and then we could have all of our deposits go right into Swiss francs right off the bat. Here is the one catch. There's always got to be a catch. I contacted Mike about it, our admin assist, at Mike at admin assist. And so, oh, good. Okay, great. Thanks, Charles. The thing with this, I think I talked to Dominic, he couldn't come today because he's got a family thing he's at. He's in Switzerland, and from what his point of view, it shouldn't be too difficult to open up a bank account. Now, I don't know what it is for the cooperative, but what Dominic told me is that we could get we're getting 7 people at least, and this would be the board of directors or something like that. You get that together to establish a Swiss cooperative. Now, we could put as people or as entities. I could put in as Sandlight. Rob could put in as Lyrique LLC, and then people like Abdul, Nigel, Benny, Donald, Manuel, Hader, Owen, Dominic, Nicholas Pagoda, who's in Germany, had volunteered to be part of that. Now, what we would do is because I've got most of everything else worked out in terms of the requirements that we had. They're all in writing, and here is the one bugaboo. Mike Nussbaumer, our admin assist guy, he said, well, if we did that, if we had a Swiss bank account, we may not be able to get our VAT back. I thought, oh man, I knew it's always a wrinkle. And that's like 8.1% for sure. Now, probably for the next, the dollar is going to go down relative to the Swiss franc, probably for the next three or 4 years. I wouldn't be surprised. So that doesn't help to bring everybody else's down, except that relative to the amount, somebody has other currencies that'd be relatively higher. But I think that is if we can stick close to the Swiss franc for everything we put in, then we're not going to see the loss because of all the conversion cost and everything else that goes into it. But one of the things I think that we may be able to do, and I haven't talked to Mike about this yet, but if we had a Swiss account that we could put the money in, we already have 2 what I guess they're called accounts with the Swiss government for Sandlight and for Lyrique LLC. And what I was thinking is that maybe we could continue with these arrangements, I guess, and then the one with Mike Neubauer as our Swiss financial representative, is that when we got an invoice, that we would pay it with the Swiss bank, but then get the money on the VAT returned through the Lyrique LLC. I don't know. It turns out to be naturally nothing about it's going to ever be easy, but those are some of the things we have to contend with. In 2024, last year, the dollar increased versus the Swiss franc by 7%. And so that helped us. And fortunately, all of our bills are paid except for shipping. And that will be as we finally start getting our watches back on Etude number 2. On Heure Zoulou, that's going to be a whole new kettle of fish, and we'll have to figure that one out. So if we could get our money, maybe we could. I'm not even sure the best way to do it is. If anybody wants to look further into that, it would be very helpful. And I think I'll check again with Mike and ask him if we could do it with, keep our Lyrique LLC with our VAT return, because we're just getting our VATs returned from the invoices and the shipments that would go outside of Switzerland. Those inside of Switzerland, that wouldn't happen. But if the bank was in Switzerland, but we did our banking through Rob and the Lyrique LLC, maybe we could do it that way. I have to check. Does anybody have any other thoughts on that or, anything more we could do? Because Dominic really is trying to help us get set up with the, society cooperative would be a nice sort of something to have there. Okay, Caesar, are yeah, I'm hoping so, Nigel. I would rather have him do it, but we may have if we went through the collective or the cooperative, if we went through the Lyrique Society cooperative and had Rob as the only person who could send money out, okay, everybody, we could all send it in directly to that. But see, this is what I got to figure out, Nigel, because I I just don't know because we haven't done it before. But like I said, Mike had said if we do that, if we have our own bank account, we wouldn't be able to get the VAT, and that's a huge amount of that we need to get. On the other hand, if all of the money goes through the U.S. dollar and the dollar is sinking like the Titanic, then better to go directly into the Swiss bank account. So there's another thing too, is that Rob would not mind giving up being a banker. I don't want to do it. I've done it enough, and my account is still uh, has some left from Etude number 2 that I'm hoping that we can have enough for all of the shipments. Like, 'cause we got to ship them all to Asia and then back to the U.S. That's another thing we're going to have to figure out too. It's just enough is enough. Yeah, Nigel, that is a good idea. If he could do it, yes, I think that would be a great idea. If Mike could do it, I'll talk to him about. He's already volunteered to help us set it up, but um, we got to see if we can figure out a way to do it so that we're going to need somebody who is in at least in a project in Lyrique, and then we could go directly to Mike, and whenever we have an invoice send that to Mike, and then see if we could do it that way. But I like that idea because we need one person. We couldn't have everybody in the collective saying, "Hey, you guys, you want to spend this?" That would be insane. And so, yeah, let me explore that, Nigel, some more because he did say something about help sending it up, and we are paying him to be our Swiss financial representative, so maybe we can somehow do it that way. I can tell you right now, Ali, I'm almost positive that Agenor wouldn't do it, and the I think it would. Where's Maid is and Sebastian are working out a lot of new things. You got to remember is that they've got their hands full too. Agenor, after they made that agreement with H. Moser, that's not the only one and us that they're dealing with. They're dealing with, I was going through the GPHG and looking at the source of the movements, and I was surprised. There was a movement that, oh, what are they? That British company, the one that Nick English used to be the head of, Bremont. Bremont has one of the modules is by Agenor that they have. And then there's Ming, and then of course there's H. Moser, and there could be other ones that we don't know anything about, plus Lyrique. So I don't know if they're going to want to even touch that with an agreement. I'd rather do it through Mike, because I think Mike has sort of got a, he like I said, he's already our Swiss financial representative, so maybe we can somehow figure out how to do that. And then whoever is our sort of banking representative on our end, to simply what we would simply do is, once we got an invoice, just shoot it to Mike and then let him pay the thing. Something like that. That might work out. Yeah, I know, Brian. How would you like to be banker, Brian? It's a fun job. It's high status. You could, yeah. Nigel, that's a good point. It really is. Okay. That's another thing that we ought to look into, Ally. TD Bank. I don't know anything about them. That's not a bad idea. Okay. All right, Brian. Here. Oh man. There's so much going on. Okay. Well, uh, let me take a look at what we have for us. So we'll call it the next steps. Um, Tonight, I'll write another email to Comblamine with copies to Karivut and Lannon, letting them know about this. So I'll do that. I will contact Mike. What I'll do is that I'll try to put a core together so we can set up the Swiss Society Cooperative, Lyrique Society Cooperative, and that would cost us 400 Swiss francs, which isn't one of the smallest bills I could imagine. And we could do that from, I guess, from the Heure Zoulou account that Rob is handling for the 400. But I'll contact Mike and see if there's some way that we can put it right into it, and at the same time keep the VAT. I agree with you, Brian. Is that suddenly if everything turned around and the dollar went the other way or went further south, but the stability we would have if what we paid was what we would end up paying, it'd be help. Yeah. Yeah, I think Brian would be a great innkeeper too. He could be a combination banker and innkeeper. Okay. All right. Anything else, you guys? I guess those are the two things. All my usual trying to put together something firm, but firm, but implying that, that they don't want trouble with us and they don't want me, hanging around whining all the time. I don't want to whine either, but I'll just reminding them. Oh, Toronto Dominion Bank. God knows there would be. If we would need a Canadian, I think, to handle that for Lyrique. And that, if we could do that, that's not a bad idea. You know any Canadians in our group who would like to do the banking? Oh, all right. Boy, that was a quick response, Michael. Wait a minute. Yeah, there might be a land grab on that. There was before 1999, there was a huge number of guys from Hong Kong who were buying up property in Western Canada. Okay, well, you're going to have to move back to Montreal, Michael. That's all there is to it. All right. Well, listen, I'll go ahead um, and Dominic, he'll take a look at this. I'll try and see if we can at least get the steps set up for a Lyrique Society cooperative. Yeah, I know. Yeah, especially. Okay. All right. Anything else? Yeah, I'm sure there's one in New York, Brian. Oh, wait a minute. Who do we have who's in New York? Wait a minute. I know. Brian, you're in New York. You're a New Yorker. Maybe there's a guy who can do it. I think it's worth looking into TD Bank, though, because that might solve the problem of being able to deposit Swiss francs directly into and then I don't know if we'd need the cooperative then or not. Yeah, yeah, right. Bloomfield. Oh, I love my bank in Bloomfield, I really do, but they're sweet people. I mean, like, they they just it's just not a place for a lot of international stuff. I gotta go up to Avon where all the rich people live, and they understand what we're doing on the folks at our local branch they're just wonderful. But for local something, I'll go in and deposit a chicken with them or something. Okay, guys. If you got anything else, we got bring it up on where you can. Yeah, well, let's take a look then at we'll take a look at TD Bank, and it's called the Toronto something or other bank. Yeah, let's take a look at that. That'd be certainly worth looking up and seeing about getting something set up. Need Greenwich money. That too. No, they got it's very funny place. All right, you guys, take care. If you need anything, like I said, we've got our communication set up, and otherwise, Have a good week, and I'll let you know what's going on. Take care.